I've always wondered about James Bond. They say he's the world's greatest spy, but everywhere he goes, people immediately know who he is. Bond, James Bond. That's not an alias, that's a bloody branding campaign. Imagine trying to be covert while actively introducing yourself like a discontinued perfume. And it's not just the name, no, he's also wearing a tailored tuxedo so tight, it's basically a second personality, drives a car so loud it could get arrested for public disturbance, and somehow manages to have a face that screams, "I definitely killed someone before breakfast." Subtle, he is not. A real spy should blend in. Should be as forgettable as a beige sock at a tax seminar. But not Bond. He doesn't infiltrate. He flamboyantly appears. No wonder the villains always spot him. He's the only man at a black tie gala dual-wielding a martini and a rocket launcher in a hotel made entirely of mirrors. And I started wondering what would happen if a regular person, someone like me, someone who once got winded opening a packet of hobnobs, tried to be a spy. So I applied to MI6. Out of boredom, out of spite. Mostly because I thought it was a Wi-Fi network. I accidentally get accepted into MI6 after sending them a screenshot of my Tesco club card as a CV. They said, "We like your discretion." I said, "That's not discretion. That's me avoiding human interaction for 15 years." They handed me a badge. The badge just said, "Dave." My name isn't Dave. They didn't care. That's espionage, apparently. My handler was a woman named Glenda. She smelled like photocopier ink and shame. Her left eye twitched in Morse code. She handed me my first gadget, a stapler that doubled as a flamethrower, but only on Wednesdays, and only if you whisper compliments into it. She said, "Your code name is now Moist Falcon." I said, "Why moist?" She said, "You'll see." My first mission was to infiltrate a private casino in Monaco, being used to launder money through experimental yoga. I don't know how either. The villain's name was Gregor Fleckstein. He had triceps you could park a bicycle on, and a birthmark shaped like a pineapple on parole. They dropped me off by jet ski, which sounds cool, until you realize I was wearing a tuxedo made of cling film and anxiety. I waltzed in, trying to act casual. I said Bond, James Bond, but I sneezed mid-sentence, so it came out like bong, germs bong. The bartender gave me a look like he wanted to unfriend me in real life. I ordered a martini. He handed me a Capri Sun and whispered, "You're not supposed to be here, are you?" I get kidnapped by the villain, but instead of torturing me, he asks me to help him emotionally process his divorce. Gregor straps me to a chair. I'm ready. I'm braced. I'm expecting lasers, scorpions. At the very least, someone yelling in a Slavic accent while holding a ferret. But instead, Gregor just sighs and goes, "She left, took the kids, took the house, left me with nothing but this underground lair and 3 henchmen named Gavin." Then he starts sobbing, full on, like his soul's been repossessed. Next thing I know, I'm giving relationship advice to a man with nuclear codes in his belt buckle. I tell him to go to therapy. He tells me therapy is for accountants. I slap him with a baguette. He cries harder. He lets me go, says, "You're not a spy. You're a deeply confused emotional consultant." He gives me a souvenir, a grenade disguised as a peach. Back at HQ, they think I'm a genius. They say, though, no one's ever de-escalated a villain before. You solved evil with empathy. They promote me to what, you ask? Head of Undercover Emotional Disruption. My new office is a cupboard. It's also haunted. The ghost's name is Alan, and he hates jazz. I accidentally married Q, the gadget guy, during a tactical rehearsal exercise at a Pret-a-Manger. It started innocently enough. Q, real name Nigel Pickleton, invited me to a fake mission briefing at Pret. There were sandwiches, camouflage paninis, a decoy soup. We were rehearsing for a mission in Luxembourg disguised as wedding planners. I was the groom. He was the other groom. All pretend. Or so I thought. Turns out Nigel had been trying to propose to his real boyfriend for months, but due to a scheduling mix-up and 3 flashbangs, we signed the marriage papers to each other, legally, under UK law, in front of 2 MI5 witnesses and a barista named Clive. Now, I'm not mad. Nigel's lovely. It smells like WD-40 and warm disappointment. But every time I try to annul it, MI6 says, it's a perfect cover story. We need you two married. The Russians are suspicious of single men. So now I'm emotionally disruptive, legally wed spy with a haunted cupboard and a grenade peach in my glove box. I don't remember what my actual life was before this. Probably quieter, definitely less moist. I get promoted again, this time by accident, to Interim Supreme Commander of all Stealth, and must attend a NATO meeting inside a submarine shaped like Jeremy Clarkson's head. They said, just sit quietly. Don't speak, not occasionally, and try not to sneeze. I said, sure. I do that at family dinners already. But then came the briefing. The American general asked, what would the UK's response be to a level 5 aquatic incursion in Finnish territory using psychic walruses? Everyone stared at me. I panicked. I said, deploy the courgettes. They nodded like I just quoted Churchill. Then someone else asked, and what about the missile silos near Bruges? I said. Only if the toast is buttered, aggressively. Again, nodding, applause. They declared me a strategic genius. They wrote my quotes on a plaque. Now I live in semi-retirement in a shed outside Sheffield. I train new recruits by yelling at pigeons and showing them how to defuse a bomb using jam. Bond still texts me. He says things like, how did you get promoted? And please give Q back. We're out of pens. I ignore him. Because you see, in the end, James Bond may be the world's loudest ninja, the suavest walking security breach in history. But me? I'm Moist Falcon, legally married, mentally unstable, partially haunted, and officially sanctioned by NATO to deploy weaponized vegetables. And that, dear friends, is true espionage. Wow! You stayed until the end of Mentally Chaotic? It's either loyalty or a cry for help. And honestly, we respect both. Do us a solid. Subscribe so you never miss another emotional car crash. Share this episode with that one friend who sends 3-minute voice notes unprovoked. We'll be back next week with more thoughts that should have stayed in drafts. Until then, stay delusional, stay kind of hot, and don't join a cult unless the merch is cute. Bye.